Hello students, my name is Shayan Mitra, faculty member of Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering of Greater Kolkata College of Engineering and Management, JIS Group. Today's topic will be Introduction to Embedded Processor. In this lecture, I will be describing different kind of processors and the different kind of characteristics of processor. So let's begin with class. The embedded system, code name EC703A, lecture number 2. Let's go to the next slide. Processor. A processor is the heart of the embedded system. For an embedded system, designer knowledge of microprocessor and microcontroller is a must. The basic two units that are most essential for the operation of processor is control unit. Those control unit used to fetch the different kind of instructions, and execution unit in which through which the different kind of operations has been executed. So let's go to the next slide. Various processors are general purpose processor, GPP, microprocessor, microcontroller, embedded processor, digital signal processor. Another kind is application specific system processor, ASSP. And third kind is multiprocessor system using GPPs, general purpose processor. So start describing with general purpose processor. In general purpose processor, the first one is microprocessor. A microprocessor is a single chip semiconductor device, also which is a computer on chip, but not a complete computer. Its CPU contains an ALU, means arithmetic logic unit, a program counter, a stack pointer, some working register, a clock timing circuit, and interrupt circuit on a single chip. It means it contains everything and anything that we usually need to instruct a processor. That's why we have an arithmetic logic unit for different kind of to do different kind of mathematical operation. A stack pointer which used to point the next instruction set or instruction line. A program counter, some working register. A working register is basically in which the data those are need to be processed, usually stored. A clock timing circuit through which the important clock time pulse or important timing constants are being put forth on different kind of in processors. An interrupt circuit is required to interrupt handling the processor. It means suppose there is a process that has been going on in the processor, a specific work has been going on in the processor. Now there is an immediate need to do some another job. That's where we use the interrupt circuit through which we interrupt that specific active work. We stop that, we make it hold, we put it in a wait segment, and we do the job that is with the most priority, and after that we will again start the job which was going on earlier. So all of these specific components are already included in the microprocessor. Now, to make a complete microcomputer, one must add memory, usually ROM and RAM, memory decoder, an oscillator, and a number of serial and parallel ports. So there is the difference that has been said. In case of a processor, we already have ALU, a program counter, a stack pointer, some working register, a clock timing circuit, and interrupt circuit on a single chip. But to make it a complete microcomputer, we must need read-only memory, random access memory, memory decoder, an oscillator, and a number of serial and parallel ports for different kind of communication. In case of we in case of this. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Now, history of microprocessor. The first generation microprocessor is a 4-bit processor, 4004 and 404, 4-bit in early 1970 by Intel Integrated Electronics. That has been first introduced or first developed. Second generation is 8-bit processor, which also been iconically named as 8008 and 8080 8-bit in 1974. Intel with plus 5 volt input supply. That's the most important part. It has been worked with plus 5 volt input supply. Third generation 16-bit processor, 8086 16-bit, same as 8086. The 8088 introduced 8088 has only 8-bit database. In case of 8088, it is 8-bit database. This made it easier to interface to the common 8-bit peripheral device available at that time. Third generation is 16-bit processor, where 8086 is 16-bit processor. Same as 8086, the 8088 also introduced, but it has a only 8-bit database. It helps to interface with the different peripheral device. Now followed by the 80186, 80286, both are 16-bit processor. The 80386 and 80486 are 32-bit processor, leading to a Pentium range of microprocessor, which was 64-bit processor. It means as time passes by, the speed of the processor increases. Now we have 64-bit, but we have started with 4-bit processor. Now we have 64-bit processor, which is available today. The 8086 and Pentium processors have all been designed for use in personal computer type applications and have large memory maps. As you have already know that as time passes by, we have a 1 TB secondary memory that we can possess in a personal computer. So let's go to the next slide. Now microprocessor. What we have in a microprocessor? We have a CPU for computer. No RAM, ROM, input output of CPU chip itself. Example: Intel x86, Motorola 68080. CPU is a general purpose. If you have a CPU, it has a general purpose microprocessor, with which we have RAM, ROM, input output port for communication, serial and parallel. We have timer circuits, and we have serial communication port, input output buses, random access memory or cache memory for availability of for speed. If we increase the RAM, the speed of the processor will increase, and read-only memory for secondary, which a memory segment where we can store different data, and it will not goes away with as power goes off. These are the basics. Now let's go to the next slide. Now various microprocessors are Intel 4004, 4040, 8080. They are different. In case of Motorola 6 series, 6800, 6809, 68000, G3, G4, G5, all these are included as time passes by. And in case of Intel, we have x86, 64. Now we have program files in x86 and also this. And in case of Zilog, it's also a Z series. That's from the acronym Z, or the first word has been used. Z80, Z180, EZ80, Z8. All these has been included as time passes by. So let's go to the next slide. Now we will talk about microcontroller. Now there is a basic difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. We will go to that. First we will describe what is a microcontroller is. A microcontroller is a functional computer system on a chip. It contains a processor, memory and programmable input output peripherals. So basic difference between a microprocessor and a microcontroller is a microcontroller is also a system on a chip, but it contains memory and programmable input output peripherals. That's the basic difference, which a microprocessor doesn't contain. Now microcontrollers include an integrated CPU, memory, a small amount of RAM and program memory or both, and peripherals capable of input and output. It means in case of microcontroller, we can use different peripheral device to work with it. That's the basic difference between both of them. Let's go to the next slide. Microcontrollers Description of microcontrollers is a smaller computer on chip, a RAM, ROM, input-output ports. Examples are Motorola 6811, Intel's 8051, Zilog Z8, and PIC 16X. And it's a single chip. In a single chip, what we have, as we have already said, a central processing unit, a processor, a random access memory, ROM, input-output port, timer, and serial communication port, all in a single chip. Now, mechanism in microcontroller, how it works. It works as very simple. So simple. Now, through database, we connect the peripheral device. The peripheral devices, peripheral registry, and peripheral circuitry has been included. It has been connected to the database. Through the peripheral registers, the data will be driven in to the CPU register. If it is required, it doesn't mean that we always have to use peripheral device, but if it is required, we connect the CPU register with the peripheral register of peripheral device through a database, and it goes in and out. It is not a single, not a single way data bus. Through that data goes from peripheral register to CPU register, and also from CPU register to peripheral register. Now, in a read-only flash memory, so secondary memory, we fed the instruction through the instruction bus. We fed the instruction to the arithmetic logic unit, where the mathematical operation will be conducted. And in random access memory, in case of random access memory, what we have? We have the specific, in random access memory, we have the specific data that needs to be operated on first. It means those data are on priority, will be fed to the CPU register, in which the data will be stacked or queued. Sorry, it will be queued through the data, all the data that has been fed to the CPU register through the database. In that register, the data will be queued, and as according to the instruction set that has been fed to the ALU, the specific data with specific address will go to the ALU. The specific operation will be performed on all those data according to the instruction that has been fed to the ALU from the ROM or has been fetched. And again, after the operation has been conducted, or after the operation ends, the specific operated data will be again fed to the CPU register, and will again fed to the RAM, and will be stored there, and after few moments, after few time, it will again stored to the ROM if it is required. So this is the specific mechanism microcontroller. It means through ALU, in ALU, specific mathematical operation has been conducted and will be conducted on different kind of data that has been fetched from the CPU register, and the CPU register got all those data from RAM as required, as if required, and all the requirement that has been occurred, it will be instructed or dictated by the ROM, dictated by the instruction set that has been fed to the ALU through the ROM. According to the instruction set, according to the instruction, the ALU fetch the data from the CPU register. The ALU doesn't fetch data from directly from RAM, but it will fetch the data from the CPU register. The instruction set, according to the instruction set, the ALU function, according to the instruction set, it fetch the data from register. As the data goes to the ALU, the specific mathematical operation which is required to be performed on that specific data also being instructed to the ALU, as according to that the specific mathematical operation or specific operation has been performed or will be performed on the data, and after that data will be again stored in register, and it goes to the RAM, then it goes to the ROM sequentially. So this is the mechanism of microcontroller. A very basic mechanism of microcontroller. So let's go to the next slide. Now various microcontrollers, 8031, 80 is an Intel series. In case of Intel series, 8031, 8032, 8051, 8052, 8751, 8752, Pentium, etc. In PIC 8-bit, PI 16, PI 18, and there are many more. In case of Motorola, we got MC688C11, and ARM, that's an advanced specific processor which used for a very specific purpose. This as a we will discuss this ARM. We also have it in our syllabus. We will discuss ARM processor, how it works. So let's go to the next slide. The basic difference between microprocessor versus microcontroller. In my case of microprocessor, the functional blocks are ALU, register, timing and control units. These are the basic functional blocks of microprocessor. Arithmetic logic unit, register that has been included with ALU, timing and control units. In case of microcontroller, it includes functional blocks of microprocessor. In addition, it has timer, parallel input output port, RAM, EPROM, electrically programmable ROM, ADC and DAC, it means analog to digital converter and digital to analog converter. In case of microprocessor, bit handling instruction is less, 1 or 2 type only. That's important. In case of microcontroller, many type of bit handling instruction is used, because as you can see, in case of microcontroller, we use different kind of peripheral device, and as we can accommodate different kind of peripheral device. It needs to have different kind of bit handling process. It needs to understand different kind of bit handling instruction set for different kind of peripheral device. In case of microprocessor, rapid movements of code and data between external memory and MP, as we understand, rapid movements of code and data within the MC. That is usually essential. In case of microprocessor, the fourth difference or similarities, it is used for designing general purpose digital computer system. In case of microcontroller, they are used for designing application specific dedicated system. So as we can see that in case of microcontroller, we can use different kind of peripheral device. That's why it has been used to design application specific dedicated systems. For very much different kind of specifically dedicated system can be designed using this microcontroller. But in case of microprocessor, it is used for designing general purpose digital computer system. As you can know, it has specific limitation. And go to the next slide. Now, it's an important factor that we'll end this with it. This is how a personal computer starts. Simple instructions are there. A microcontroller searches its first instruction to execute. Basic input output system in flash chip provides the initial instruction to the microprocessor BIOS. Microcomputer BIOS does several sequences. Important factor. First, microcontroller searches first instruction to execute. As we switch up the button, the basic input output system, the BIOS in flash chip provides the initial instruction to the microcomputer BIOS. Microcomputer BIOS does several sequences, such as check the CMOS setup for custom settings. CMOS setup present in non-volatile RAM, CMOS RAM and RTC integrated as a South Bridge chipset, which is powered by CMOS battery. In case of CMOS, as MOSFET operation, we know that it used to control the timing circuit. If a CMOS goes wrong in case of a computer, the time that we see in a computer, it goes ups and down. It basically the timing circuit has been get controlled or get activated by CMOS. Third is CMOS setup consists of system time date, as we have said, chipset status and memory management. If a CMOS goes wrong, the setup consists of system time date, chipset status and memory management will also go wrong. So these are the specific system that if we start a switch, these specific things will happen sequentially. The basic input output system in flash chip provides the initial instruction to the microcomputer. Now, and the first check the CMOS setup for custom settings. How CMOS setup present in non-volatile NVRAM, CMOS RAM. CMOS RAM RTC integrated as a South Bridge chipset, which is powered by CMOS battery. CMOS RAM is 64 to 512 bytes capacity. Not usually not more than that, because that much amount power is only needed to start up a computer. CMOS setup consists of system, time, date, chipset status, memory management. All this will be checked. Next step will be load the interrupt handlers and device drivers. Different kind of device drivers. Device drivers will get to that, what is device drivers is, how the interrupt handlers work. Initialize register and power management. Perform the power on self test. Display system settings. Determine which device are bootable. Initiate the bootstrap sequence. The order to boot OS cold boot. It means in a cold state, restart PC with power being off. Warm boot or normal boot, restart PC when the power. This is a very important factor. Initiate the bootstrap sequence. Now, there are two kind of booting. First, there is a cold boot, restart PC with the power being off. Warm boot or normal boot is restart PC when the power is on. Usually, when we switch on the button, it's a warm or normal boot, whether we restart the PC as the power, as power on, we restart the PC. That is warm boot or normal boot. In case of cold boot, restart PC with the power being off. That is the basic difference between these two. And these are the specific instruction that has been said. Now let's go to the what is the device driver handlers, how it works. We see about that. Now this is the whole system that we usually have within a CPU. Now first we will consider things that have we already spoken about and that we have already known. First let's go to the CMOS battery. This is a CMOS battery, and when we on a computer, we first activate this CMOS battery. From BIOS we go to the CMOS battery. CMOS battery made the memory management, time, date, it reset the time, date and memory management. These are the first thing the CMOS battery do. Okay, this is the CMOS battery. Okay, let's go. These are the serial parallel ports, and this is the USB port that where we used to put pen drives or any kind of yes, these are the this is USB port. This is serial and parallel ports. We also got through which we can communicate with different peripheral devices. This is the fan connector. This is the CPU slot. This is the CPU socket. This is ATX power connector, and these are DIMM socket, dual in memory sockets, where is basically memory slot where we put the RAMs in it. This is the floppy disk port. This is EID port. This is a motherboard chipset. This is the motherboard. This is the South Bridge. Front panel connectors. It's an ISA slot. So from the next lecture we will be getting to know the different kind of serial parallel ports, USB ports, ISA slot, how it works, how PCI slot works. All these things will be discussed. This is the inner side of a CPU. Now this is how it looks. The whole thing. This is the chipset where we put everything. Now you can see these are the capacitors, different size and different capacitors, small and big. These all are the connectors that you can see. This is from this photo has been taken from outside of a CPU. Open the front side door, you can see all these things. Okay, so we will end this class today here, and from next lecture we will start to understand different kind of processor. We will continue with different kind of processor. We will understand how DSP, digital signal processing, has been worked. So thank you all. Bye.